Hello and welcome to Andy's Shed Live. This is Series 9, Episode 19 for Sunday, the 14th of November, 2021. Hello there everybody, how are you? Hope you are well today.
Hello and welcome to Andy's Shed Live. This is Series 9,
why is that howling around?
For Sunday, the 14th of November.
Oh, I know why it's howling around, hang on. I know what's up with it. It's that. I've got to do that with. And then, hopefully, I can do that. And there we go. Right, that should have stopped doing that now. Should have got something sensible now. Right, shall we try that again? As I say, it's Series 9, Episode 19 for Sunday the, whatever it is, 14th of November, 2021. Hello there, how the devil are you? This Sunday evening, it's been all go today, and I have not stopped. It's just absolute chaos. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember you can join us in the chat. Just jump into the old YouTube chat there, and we'll say hello to you. I'm just firing up the chat here, just so I can see who's on. Right, where are we? There somewhere. Is it going to make watch an advert? Yes, it is. It's going to make watch an advert before I can see the chat. There we go. And turn off the top chat and turn on the live chat so I can actually see everything. It looks like we've got Penfoldy, we've got Christopher, we've got Fat Hobbit, we've got Wesley, and we've got Dominic. So it's all the usual suspects there again tonight. It's been an absolutely chaotic week this week. Absolutely chaotic. I've got nothing done, but I have got a house full of stuff. As some of the patrons will have seen, there's been a load of radio station stuff that's arrived. Yes, I've got all the emails, Christopher, but I've not even had time to open them, mate. That's the problem that I've had this week. So my apologies, but emails have sort of gone by the wayside this week because I've just been so busy. I've not had time to sleep, literally. It's been go to bed at 4 in the morning, get up again at 7 this week, basically every night this week. Yeah, I got the emails, Christopher. I got all the emails. I've just not had a chance to do anything with them yet. That's the only thing, but I will. I'll get there in the end. I will get there. Not a lot has appeared this week in the telephone department. Not a lot has arrived, but plenty of other things have arrived. So I wonder if I can take you on a trip to see what's arrived. I don't know, how do I do this? I have to remember how to do it. But yes, I probably can take you on a trip to see what's arrived, can't I? Right, I need to come out of there then. Stop that. Yeah. And then I need to start this other thing up when I find it, and then I'll take you on a little tour to see what sort of pandemonium there is here. As I say, if you want to get in touch with us, then feel free to join the chat. If you can't join the chat for whatever reason, then send us a message through the website. You'll find a contact us page on there. andyshed.coldpress.net is the place to go to find the contact us. And if you want to join us on Patreon as well to get a little bit of extra content, there's a patrons blog and that we add to every now and again for just the equivalent of $1 a month. You can join us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Andy's Shed is the place to go to there. And why is that not working? Right, what is happening there? Okay. Let's see if I can turn the phone off and on again and see if that solves it. See if that solves my telephonic problems or not. Right, as I say, patreon.com/Andy Shed is the place where you can go to, and just $1 a month. You can join our ever-growing number of patrons who are on there already. Right, so I turn my phone on again. See if I can get any sense out of it. Come on. Right, let's have to wait half an hour now for it to power up. But yeah, not a lot's happened in the telephone department this week, but there's been other things happening. We're considering starting a radio station, purely and simply because Alpha Radio Studios arrived here. An old radio studio, an analog radio studio, which you'll quite like. There is a digital part of it. The digital part of it, if I turn this camera around a little bit, you'll be able to see part of the digital part of it. There's a computer there, which you'll see with that monitor and all this junk in front of it. That is a radio station playout system computer that runs a piece of software called Rivendell, which is about as user-friendly as a chainsaw to set up. But when you do get it going, it's rather good. Now this thing is, I think, starting up this time. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Just waiting for my phone to awaken. Well, while I'm doing that, I'll just see what folks have been saying in the chat. Everybody's saying good evening. Dominic said, I've sent over some screenshots and photos of the High Marnham power station. That may be useful. Yep, thanks Dominic. I think I've got those. Christopher says, I saw a film of the 1920 Red Rattler trains yesterday. And I'm fixing the bell in my N1900E240 tonight. Excellent! Why is this not working? I'm having so many technical issues at the moment, I am. You would not believe the trouble I am having. Right. I'm becoming of the impression that a lot of things don't work. Right. Now, I've got a camera up, but it's black. Why is it black? No, look at that. It's just a black screen of death. Oh, hang on, it's coming to life, I think. Is it coming to life? It's come to life, hey! Marvellous, we get there in the end. I've actually got a picture on it now, or you probably can't see it. Mega. I've actually got a picture on it. Shall we see if it's connected up where it should be connected to? Let's have a look. Right. Oh yeah, it is actually working. Right, this is where I have to turn some sound off and then turn some other sound on. There's a bit of a lag on this, so just bear with me a minute while we do this, and I'll be away from the chat just for a few minutes. Right, can you see me? I'm hoping you can see me. Right, you can see me, I think. Right, let's go and do this. And hopefully you can hear me as well. Right, assuming you can hear me, because the sound on this is never brilliant, but assuming you can hear me, we'll go and we'll have a little look at this, shall we? And this is where I should be able to get up and walk through here. Right, there's stuff everywhere at the moment. There is literally stuff everywhere. Firstly, for those of you that know anything about video machines, this came in for repair this week. This is a Panasonic AG7350 VHS cassette deck. One of the most modern VHS machines you'll see. And basically all the tape transport mechanism inside it has fallen apart. I've just had it apart this last hour, and all the tape transport mechanisms fell apart in it. So that's not very good. Doesn't belong to me. That belongs to somebody who does a lot of videotape transfer and that as a business. And he's asked me to try and sort that out for him. Right, we'll go through here, because through here is where all the main amount of the stuff has landed, and it's absolute chaos in this room at the minute. I tell you, it's like I don't know what. But the main thing that has landed here this week is this. Now, this, if I can go back a bit on the shot, this is a radio station broadcast mixing desk. So this is the thing that a radio host would have in front of them on your local radio station. If you want to know what brand it is, this one, it's a thing called a Soundcraft Series 10S. And the reason these desks are particularly good is because they are modular. Each fader, you can see there's a gap. You can see that gap between the faders. Each of these is a modular unit, so the different faders that do different things, you can swap them out. So, for instance, these two are microphone faders on this particular desk. This is for a thing called the telephone hybrid. So when you call into a radio station on the phone line, put that up and the people can hear you. That connects to a thing called the telephone hybrid though. This next fader, this white one, this is one where you can select a number of inputs from different things, and you can actually select 16 different sources on this, because you can select input A, or by pressing this button up here you can select input B, and if you have input A selected, then you've got 1 to 8 inputs there. Input B, you've got 1 to 8 inputs here. So you can have 16 different inputs from different devices just by pressing these different things here, and then whichever device you connect out of that 16, you can put to air with that fader. Right, and then on this side, this bit in the middle is what they call a script tray, what you put your paperwork and that on. On this side, we have got the things that would control things like CD players, record decks. These are what they call stereo faders, as opposed to the ones on this side, which are mono faders into a stereo stream. So, because obviously a microphone is just one input, and then you can pan the microphone in the stereo space. So turn it that way and everything comes out the left speaker. In the middle it comes out of both. That way all your microphone comes out of the right speaker, so it sounds like on the right hand side of you. So normally we'd have that set to the middle. But so that's mono microphones into a stereo signal. This is for stereo inputs here. So these are, like I say, for things like record players, cassette decks, CD players, things like that, computer line in, for stuff like that. And you can set it to stereo, mono. So in mono you get an equal signal either side, in either side of your two stereo speakers. Left, so everything comes out the left speaker, or right, so everything comes out the right speaker. So you normally have it in the stereo position there, like that. And then this is all the output for where the output goes, and for different headphones and that. So you've got like presenters headphone, control room headphones, studio headphones if you've got a guest in the studio, all that kind of malarkey. And if you're wondering where all the connections go, all the connections go in there. So you can see it's not wired up yet because the connections aren't in. The microphone ones here, if you look at the top, are XLR inputs, and again you can have 4 microphones but only control 2 of them at once, because you've got mic A and mic B on each one. You see mic A and mic B, and then you've got this, when you press it down it's mic B, release it, which I've done there, it's mic A. So that's all the stuff that's all got to be wired up to make it work. So we've got to wire things to it and that. So what I'm hoping to do is rent a studio space or something where we can set all this up, because when it's all set up, this desk takes up a space that is basically about 3 foot square. And when it's all set up fully, it will take up much more space than that, because it'll need at least 2 computers with it. One linking up to these faders for the music input, and then another computer for the output, so it'll stream out onto the old internet there. Right, if that wasn't enough stuff that we've got here, down here, you see, don't you, whether you can see this, there's a pile of broadcast u-matic video machines. There's actually 3 machines there stacked up. I don't know if you can see. That all need some work doing on them. So they're broadcast u-matics. And then over here on this side we've got another mixing desk. This one's on its side purely and simply because that's where it landed out the back of my van the other day. This one we're probably going to use as spares for the other one. The 2 more broadcast u-matics that kind of work, these 2, with a bit of persuasion, and a little monitor with a VHS deck built into it there as well. Then there's this. really ancient u-matic VCR, sort of dating from the 1970s. This particular one is a JVC, but we've also got a Sony one down here, and the Sony one has got a remote control with it. We've got two of these actually. I've got another one as well that you can't see at the moment, but we've got another one of these. So there's loads and loads and loads of stuff arrived over the last few weeks. You see, loads and loads of stuff arrived, and that's why it's been chaos, because a lot of that, well, the u-matics have been here for a while, the u-matics. In fact, I think I've shown you the u-matics before, but the other stuff, particularly the sound decks, the mixing desks for the radio stations, they've arrived this week. So it's been pandemonium. Trying to get it all going and find somewhere to put it and all this kind of things. And then this other deck has arrived, wanting work doing on it. PDQ, because the guy that does the tape transfer wants it back in service quite soon. So that's all kind of what's been happening this week. It's been going quite mad this week, quite mad. Right, I am back now where I normally am, hopefully. And hopefully now you can hopefully now you can see me again. Right, let me get out of this on my phone. Apps and notifications, that, stop that now, and we'll come back. Now into YouTube, and hopefully we'll be able to see the chat in just a moment. So what has everybody been saying? Tell you in a sec when I can see it. Dominic says, I must have a look at that King Pyramid phone at some point. This is the one that we were looking at last week. He says, the weeks in autumn just seem to whiz past. Yeah, that's because there's no blooming daylight in them. That's why they whiz past. He says, I'm half tempted to just have it as a separate bell set, as that's how I found my 26 originally configured. Yeah, you're probably best to do it that way, Dominic. Very few of these 200 series phones were sat on the bell set. You know, it wasn't common for them to be sat on the bell set. It's something that people have done later. There were some, of course, but maybe not that many. Christopher says he meant to say that he was filming the 1920 Red Rattler trains yesterday. Cool, excellent. Go to Christopher's Railway channel, of course. Stick a link to your channel in the chat, Christopher, for anybody that wants to go and have a look. It says, I'm getting a mid 1970s to early 1980s street light, new old stock in the box. Street lights. No. If it was daylight outside, I'd show you something, but it's not, so I can't. Dominic says, are the buttons backlit? I assume you mean the buttons on the mixer there, Dominic. Yes. Well, they're not backlit exactly, but they've got LEDs actually within the button that shine through little windows in the button when the buttons are on. So when the button is armed, then yes, there's a little light on it. Dominic says, will it be Andy FM? No, it probably won't be on FM. It'll probably be on the internet. Penfold says, those Sony u-matics are what I used to use. Offshore many years ago. Offshore. So did you have like TV programs sent out then, Penfold, on u-matic tapes? I imagine that was a bit of a pain in the bum because u-matic tapes aren't very long. I think the longest u-matic tape runs for is an hour, because that's how they get such good picture quality and such high bandwidth, because the tape fair whizzes through the machines. So even though the tapes are huge, the longest they last is an hour. Dominic says, it's very odd that JVC did a u-matic back then, knowing they were rivals to Sony. Yes, I think it was at that stage though. What would they do if they didn't do u-matic? I think it goes back that far, when u-matic was the only runner, basically, that JVC machine. It sort of predates VHS and Betamax and all that kind of thing. So it kind of goes back a long way. That the Sony machine, the big Sony machine that I showed you on the floor there, and the big JVC machine. There's a reason they're on the floor, because they're so heavy. I don't trust them not to flatten any table that I put them on. They are humongously heavy. I cannot describe how heavy those machines are. The later ones, the ones that I've got a big stack of, aren't as bad. They're still heavy, but they're nowhere near as bad. But those really early ones are phenomenally heavy. I can just manage to pick one up. And that's about as much as I can do. They really are heavy, hefty old machines. Those u-matics. So that's what we've got at the minute. That's the sort of kit that has come our way at the moment. So the radio station thing. For anybody who wants to know what the plan is with the radio station, the idea is that we might set up a local radio station, because what's happened in the UK, let me move this round a bit so I'm not behind the chat. What's happened in the UK is a lot of our local radio stations got taken over by big groups, and it's probably happened where you are if you're in the UK. They all got taken over by big groups, and originally Ofcom decreed that a certain amount of programming on a local radio station had to be made locally, and it was most of it. It was a good percentage of it. But that seems to have slipped now, and that doesn't seem to matter so much anymore. So what you find now is you've got a local radio station that is actually playing a feed from London pretty much all the time. So your local radio stations aren't really local anymore, except for the BBC ones, and even the BBC ones are sometimes fed from London, particularly in the evening and that. Local to here we've got Radio Derby and Radio Sheffield and things like that, and they tend to be fed from London in the evening. So yes, that's about the size of it. Jimmy's arrived. He says hello. I'm a bit late. Hi Jimmy, nice to see you. Dominic says the u-matic must have been cutting edge when Penfold was using it. Yeah, well they sort of were, weren't they? Yeah, I mean they were the first cassette video machine u-matics. They were the first video machines where the tape was in a cassette. I think it was invented around about 1968, 1969, and I think it reached Britain in about 1971. Originally, they were meant for home use, but nobody could afford them because they were what would be the equivalent now of probably about £5,000. So nobody could afford them. But the TV companies found they were good enough quality because the tape moved so fast. They were good enough quality that they could use them for TV news, and they got new lightweight cameras that they could couple up to these machines to do what became known as electronic news gathering. It's those u-matic machines that started it. So that is where your electronic news gathering started. You like ITN running around with camera cars and things like that. And it says we used them as black box videos. VHS was the king at the time, but we used u-matic for standby as it was cheap and available. It was cheap. Oh. That's interesting. I've never heard u-matic referred to as cheap before. So, yeah. So that's it anyway. That's the story of the u-matics and what they were doing and all this malarkey and sort of what we're doing with them and why we've got them and all this sort of thing. Then this computer behind me, this is the Rivendell computer. I'll turn it on. Turn it on, but I'll not turn the sound on it, because if I turn the sound on it, we'll end up with a YouTube copyright strike. Because obviously it plays music, it's a radio station computer. So that is radio station playout software that will boot up onto there in a minute that you'll see. And I've been trying to get that going this week. So I've had this computer ages. And because the sound desk has arrived, it's given me impetus to get this computer going so I can plug it into the sound desk, you see. But I've got to make some fancy cables because basically no such cable to connect the things exists as far as I'm aware. You have to solder them up yourself. So that's what we're going to be doing. But when it fires up, you will be able to see what it does. If I load part of the software, which is the playout thing, just bear with me 1 second. So that there is the play out. Now down what you are looking at as the let me get this right now, what you are seeing as the left hand side of that, down here, this will be where all your songs and things populate in the order that they're going to be played out. Yeah. Over here, these little buttons are what populate with jingles and stuff, and all those little bits of sound that radio stations use. Now, it's not populated yet, because for it to populate you have to do something called loading a log, and when you load a log for a given day, each log is for one day normally, it knows who's on air that day and what jingles they use, and it also knows what time of the day it is, so it loads the correct jingles into these things here, and it loads the correct programs, the correct songs for the time of day into there. So there might be some songs that you only play at night because the language in them might be a bit iffy. So there might be some sort of post-watershed things you only play at night that go in the evening slots, and different stuff for the daytime, different stuff maybe at weekends to midweek, depending on who's on air and what sort of program they do. So to load the log for the day, we just go main log, select log, and I've made one for today, which is the 14th, and I know that's swamping out a bit, but you get the basic idea of what it is, and you just start the first one going, and now it's playing a song. You'll see those little VU meter things up there. You'll see it's playing a song now, and in the middle there, that is a clock that is counting up, basically. You see how it's going a lighter colour gradually. Well, it's going a lighter colour as the song's playing, and when that's a full circle that's a light colour, that's when you get to the end of your song. So you've got an idea of how much of your song is left. So it's just played just under a quarter of the song at the moment, but it's also in automatic mode at the minute. So automatic there, that green button there, you can switch that to what they call live assist or to manual mode, which are both actually manual systems. We normally put it on live assist, and that's for when there's somebody actually live in the radio station. When it goes to live assist, they then start each song manually. But when it's in automatic like that, the songs all start themselves. And if I sit here and talk to you, you'll see that song play out, and then you'll see it move on to the next one. What actually happens is that song will go off the top of the thing, and then another one will come in from the bottom, and what it says in this block here will change as you work your way through the log. And there's a more zoomed out version of the log on this side where you can see all the details if it wasn't swapped out. So that's how that works for the radio station, and we're just putting it all together. But I've not got space, as you saw earlier. I've not got space to put it all together, so we're going to basically go and install it somewhere. I thought, well, if we're going to install it somewhere, we might as well use it, because actually to set up a radio station legally, for the rights issue and that, you deal with some organisations called PRS and PPL, who basically you pay a fee to, an annual fee to, and then you're allowed to use copyright music and that on your radio station. And basically the fee starts about 300 quid for the pair, for a year. And they go up depending on how many people actually listen to your station. If a load of people listen to your station, they charge you more money because they know how many people have streamed it. But of course, if that many people have listened to it, you've probably made some money out of some adverts on it. So it's fair enough that the fee goes up because you probably have made enough money to cover the fee. So that's the idea. We thought we'd give it a go. So we're getting all the equipment together. That's why everything around here is in such disarray at the moment. Why there's bits of equipment everywhere. Because we're trying to find it all out of storage where it's been, and new bits have come in and that, and we're just trying to get it all together. So that's what's happening. That song is about to finish. There it goes. That one's finished now, and it's playing the next one down. If you look at that side there, you notice that song that was green has now turned grey, and the next one down has now turned green because it's now playing the next song, which is Breathe by Shins, is it? And there's all sorts of people on there. There's The Cause, there's Shakira, No Doubt, Nelly Furtado, all sorts of people coming up on there. So I've been testing it this week. It's set up there like that, just as the computer, because I've been testing it, see if that computer crashes, because obviously if that's playing out a radio station, particularly at night when there might not be anybody in the station, if it's doing it all automatically at night, obviously you don't want that computer to crash. So I've been testing it and just leaving it running for hours and hours and hours just to see what happens. Fat Hobbit says, will the adverts be local businesses, Andy? I would think so, is the answer to that. I would guess so. I would guess they'd be the sort of people who would place adverts on it. See, there are no local radio stations now. They do still run local adverts, I believe. They do still run the adverts locally. So if you buy an advert on, say, Hallam FM, it only plays out to the Sheffield area. But the programming is not local. There's a problem, as I see it, with local radio in the UK, in that there are the very, what I call the whizzy stations, that are very professional sounding and very, very pacey, and everything's mixed together well, and they tend to be the commercial stations, but they have no local content anymore. Then you have the BBC stations that have local content, you know, and tell you when the schools are open and what might be going on at the weekend in your local town or whatever, but they're dull as dishwater to listen to because they're not very well put together in terms of sound and music and stuff like that. So somewhere between those whizzy stations with no content of any significance and the stations with the content but no production value, somewhere between those, I think there's a bit of a niche to be filled. And it doesn't matter about being on FM, because who listens to the radio on the radio these days? So many people now listen through their computer, through their phone, and particularly through things like Amazon and these Google Home things. You know, hey Google, play blah 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 blah, and of course off it goes. And I know lots of people who use the radio through these little Amazon picture frame things and these little Google Pebbles and stuff. So, provided you're on the internet, there's no reason you can't get on those, of course. So, yeah. So we shall see. We shall see what happens with it. But that's where I think we might be heading. Dominic says, "What's your favourite genre of music, Andy?" You know, Dominic, I don't really have one. I don't really have one. I'm not a massively music orientated person, to be honest. So yeah, pretty much anything. I don't do rap. I don't do rap music. I always feel with rap music, when they're describing it, they've missed a C off. Think about it. but that's about the only one that I don't do. Christopher says he's testing his 8mm camera. Wow. Properly retro. You want a u-matic one, Christopher? You want a u-matic one? That would be very cool. I've got a u-matic deck that actually works, which is the sort that they had with the cameras, which is a portable one. I've not shown it you today because it's upstairs. But the portable u-matic deck is about half the size of the others. It takes slightly smaller tapes, still the same size actual tape in them, but just slightly smaller cassettes that only last for about 20 minutes. So you have this machine over your shoulder, there's a shoulder strap on it, a leather strap, you put that over your shoulder, and then you have the camera in your hand, and then that's connected by an umbilical cord to the video machine. And it's still not light, shall we say. Wesley says rap C. Mr. C off. Yeah, I think you might have got the C at the wrong end, Wesley. Chris also says that he filmed a 1943 steam loco, which was its first test since 2005, I believe, because it was involved in a road accident, wasn't it, Christopher? This loco, this K183, this steamer, it hit a car or a truck or something. But that is now back in service, or soon will be in service. It's at least on test in Australia, so it's nice to see that is back on the rails. Hello, what's happening here? YouTube is doing very strange things on my phone at the minute. My phone's doing very strange things all around at the moment. So yeah, so that's what we're up to at the minute. As you'll see, we're through 2 songs now. There's 2 that are grey, 1 that is green, and when that clock thing there gets round to the top, you'll see that green one will go grey, and the green will go a little bit further down. Because down here, although you can't see it because it's swamped out, there is actually a big long list of songs. Right. I'm glad we've established that. Right, where on earth are we? Another thing that I've not mentioned tonight is, remember, we've got the forum as well. So if you want to keep chatting and stuff after the show has finished this evening, you can find our telephone forum. It's at gpotelephones.proboards.com. It's gpotelephones.proboards.com. Join the forum. It's a fairly active group there. Christopher posts stuff on there, and Dominic, or 1 or 2 others, and that. So yeah, you can post pictures and all sorts on there as well. It's not one of these forums where you can't post photos. You can put photos on our forum. It does work. gpotelephones.proboards.com. Right, it's going to change over any minute now. That green thing's going to go down 1. Right, it's going now. When it gets almost to the end, it does a special sort of sweep round the clock for the last few seconds. It's going now, and it's going to go down now. There you go, it's moved down onto the next song, which is Make You Mine by The Cause, apparently. Of course I can't play it to you because YouTube will throw a hissy fit if I do. But yeah, that's The Cause, Make You Mine, that is playing out on that now. Right, what else have I got to tell you this week? Not a lot really, like I say, not a lot's happened other than all this stuff's arrived. But there is a new Escape the Shed coming out very, very soon. We went out the when was it? Last week. We went out to High Marnham Power Station, or at least what was High Marnham Power Station, and also Fledborough Viaduct. And I was joined by Dominic. I actually met Dominic in person for the first time. And we went to have a little look. I'm just trying to get these photos up for you. Yeah, and here's just a few of the photos that Dominic took while we were out and about there. So this is one down at the side of the River Trent. This, and this is I'm just trying to work this out now. This will be the western bank of the River Trent, the western side, and you can just see the viaduct in the distance there. All these pylons are because this is what's called Megawatt Valley. There was lots of power stations down the side of the River Trent here, and there was one more or less exactly where we are there, just off to the left hand side. You just see some conifer trees there right on the left hand side, and they were sort of masking the back of High Marnham Power Station that used to be there. And this is all that remains really of the power station. This is on the side of the Trent, right on the side of the river, and it's built up on stilts because it's on a floodplain. And apparently there was a bridge across here. You can just see on the left of that picture the end of what is like a long raised walkway that would have gone to the power station. And I say it's raised because this bit here is a floodplain. But apparently there was a bridge also that went right across the river. And when High Marnham Power Station closed in the early 2000s, Eon, who were operating it by then, had to remove the bridge because the local council wouldn't stump up the money for the upkeep of the footbridge, so they had to take it out. And there's another shot of the viaduct. You can't see these, can you? I've just realised you can't see these. Right, let me. That's better. You can see them now. Yeah, that's the viaduct through the trees. Right, I'll go back and see if I can show you the others now. Then. So that's the one that we started with. Like I say, that's the western bank of the Trent, and just underneath the chart you'll see some conifers right on the very far left side, and I think they were shielding the back of High Marnham Power Station. I think they were planted around it because when it was there, I've seen pictures of the power station when it was there, and it had very well kept grounds, you know, like nicely cut lawns and things, and well maintained gardens and stuff. So yeah, it was actually quite picturesque, as much as a power station can be picturesque, I guess. And there's the building that I was talking about. I can't believe you couldn't see it while I was rabbiting on. But yeah, all raised up. It's on a floodplain. I've got no idea what it's for, that, unless it's some kind of pump to pump water from the river to the power station, and some kind of pump house, I would guess. But there was a bridge there right across the river, and the council wouldn't sort of adopt the bridge when the power station closed, so E.ON had to demolish the bridge. So now you can't get across the Trent there. You've got to go up and to the viaduct, and it's not easy to get across on the viaduct either, because there isn't a nice set of steps up the edge of the viaduct to get you onto the top. There is a path that goes underneath it, but there's no connection to the cycle path that goes across it, because they sort of meet at right angles. One goes under and one goes over, and no steps or anything between them, so you have to scramble up a bank between them. And there's a very arty shot that Dominic's done there. That's quite good, that, with the pylons of Megawatt Valley, and also the viaduct between them there. That's a good photo, actually. That, I like that. Very good, that one. And that's it. Back to the beginning there. So yeah, thanks to Dominic for sending those in. The reason we were actually out there was we were filming an episode of Escape the Shed that will be coming out soon. So watch out for that coming out soon. All about the viaduct and the power station and all kinds of things. And I have to say thanks to Dominic, and also his mum came along for a walk as well. So hello, and thanks for joining us on that. It was a grand day out, to use a Wallace and Gromit term. But yeah, it was good. So there'll be more of that sort of thing happening very soon, hopefully. Yeah, it was a good day out was had by all. What has everybody got to say for themselves in the chat? Let's just have a little look. Got my phone down here tonight. Oh, hang on, it's all gone a bit funny. That's better. I don't know why it is. When you have it set to top chat on YouTube, you can't see a lot of the messages. You set it to live chat, you realise there's a load of messages there that you couldn't see before. Dominic says the weather was really good the day that we went to the power station and the viaduct. It was, but it was windy. It was a bit windy for making video. Sound on the video was a bit of an issue, but we managed to overcome. Going back to the radio, Jimmy says, I can remember when I first started at hospital radio, I used to save a long song so I could go to the toilet. Hotel California was a good choice. You played two back to back with a jingle in between, Jimmy. That's what you do. You see, because this will run automatically. What you do is you can automatically put a jingle in this stack of songs, stick a jingle in, then you can go song, jingle, song, and it'll do it automatically. Then just back announce the last one. Dominic says it was a shame I used cheap film on the day out at the viaduct. It's a bit grainy. Well, it gives it what's it, doesn't it? It gives it what's the word I'm looking for here? It gives it sort of character. I reckon that does. I mean, that's a cracking photo, that is, isn't it? That's a really, really good photo, that, grainy or not. I really like that one. Dominic said, don't think we can see the photos, Andy. You can now. I hope you can now. I hope this is the old stuff that I'm reading here and you can now see them. Wesley says there's a programme on BBC 4 occasionally where Tom Ford follows the Trent in a punt. He stopped off in Megawatt Valley. I can't recall the station. Well, depending on how long ago it was, it probably wasn't High Marnham. I think High Marnham closed in about 2004-ish. Dominic might be able to tell you more. I think it was about 2004. So Christopher says he's been testing his 8mm camera by filming the Red Rattler trains. If you remember the Red Rattlers that we featured on here a few weeks ago. So he's been videoing the Red Rattlers with an 8mm camera. A camera that's almost as old as the train, to be quite honest. But yeah, cool stuff. Of course, Christopher has got his telephone channel and his railway channel on YouTube. So go and have a look at those if you've not done so already. Some very cool old Australian trains on there. The Red Rattlers and others as well. If you don't know what a Red Rattler is, you need to go and look at Christopher's channel. And all will be revealed on there what a Red Rattler actually is. Jimmy says, I'm talking about going to the toilet in the old days when you had to play vinyl. Just before I left, he says, we got a computer system. Then it was easy. Yeah. Excellent. I have to watch this thing that comes on BBC 4 occasionally about the power station. Do we know what it's called, this thing on BBC 4 about Megawatt Valley? I don't think it actually wrote what it's called, did you? Tom Ford follows a trend in a punt. He stopped off in Megawatt Valley. In a punt? How do you punt up the Trent? Is a punt not a boat with a pole where you do this? That's a punt, isn't it? Surely it's too deep to do that, the Trent, because it's huge. It's a massively wide river. Surely you can't, and it's got quite some current on it in places as well. I wouldn't have thought you'd be able to punt on the Trent. I'd be interested to see somebody doing that. While we were there, actually, there was a canal narrowboat going along the Trent, and that seemed to be struggling a bit against the wind and against the waves and stuff, because it's quite a big river there. Well, as you see from the size of the viaduct when the Escape the Shed comes out, it's quite a big river that needed quite a big viaduct. I think it's got something like, don't quote me on this, around about 57 arches, this viaduct, and then there's 2 or 3 plate girder bits in the middle that actually go across the main bit of the water. But either side, I think there's like a total of 57 arches, I think it is. I'm getting all tangled up. Wesley says it's called Crossing England in a Punt, he thinks. I might have to have a look, see if it's on the iPlayer. Penfold says, Jimmy, if you need a long song to go to the toilet on the radio, play Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds. Not only could you have gone to the toilet, you could have gone for a few pints. True. Dominic says, that dog didn't seem to mind how deep the Trent was. No, there was a mad dog swimming in the Trent while we were there. Christopher says, did you get the photo of K183 and me in the cab I sent on Saturday? Yeah, I think so. Shall we have a look for it, Christopher? Before we go, we'll have a look for a photo of Christopher in his loco. Right, just bear with me 1 second while we try and find a picture of Christopher in his loco. Boom, 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 boom. Where are we? We'll get there in a minute, honestly. Right, I think we've found them, Christopher. I think we've got them. Right, so if I now do that, this is the steam loco that Christopher's been talking about, the one that hit the truck. Not recently, I hasten to add. It was a few years ago. It had this accident with the truck, and it's been rebuilt since, and it's just come out on test on the broad gauge system that they've got there, because there's two railway systems in that part of Australia. There's standard gauge and also broad gauge, which I'm sure Christopher will tell you more about if you want to know more. But this is the loco out on test, and they've done a fine job of restoring that. They really have. And oh, hang on, that's it. And there's Christopher himself on the footplate of the loco, having a jolly good time by the looks of things, and staying amazingly clean, to say it's on the footplate of a steam loco, because whenever I've got anywhere near a steam loco, I've always ended up absolutely filthy when I've gone anywhere near a steam engine. Even just in the carriages that have been pulled behind it, you end up filthy. So how have you managed to keep that orange jacket orange? And also the guy behind as well, he's managed to do it as well, because how you manage to stay so clean on the footplate of a steam engine? That just doesn't happen. Maybe Australian steam engines are cleaner than British steam engines, who knows? But yeah, so that is Christopher on the footplate. We've got some more photos to show you next week. I'm running out of time though at the minute, because I've got to get off a little bit earlier tonight than we normally do. So more photos to come next week. Remember, if you want to send us any photos, and if you don't know the secret email address to send them to, then send me a message via the website here, andyshed.coldpress.net. Click on the contact us form and send me a message on there, and then I will message you back with the secret email address. And the reason is to stop all the spam that we seem to get these days, because I get tons and tons and tons of spam. I get almost as much spam as I do demic video machines. That's how much spam I get. Right. Dominic says, Jimmy, you should have faked phone-in requests for repeats of the song. Yeah, but you still have to be there to put the stylus back over, wouldn't it, at the beginning, so it would start to come out the toilet. I've just got this image now. No, you don't want to know. You don't want to go there. You just don't want to go there. I'll only say one thing, Jimmy. EPs are good. Yeah. Right, that is about as far as we go, I think, for this week. A very telephone-free episode of Andy's Shed Live this week, but normal service will probably be resumed next week, I would guess. And hopefully we might be getting somewhere with the radio kit set up as well by next week. But if anybody fancies doing a radio show when this new station starts, and you can do them remotely now, we have the technology to do them remotely, let me know. Again, as usual, drop me a line, andyshedlive.callpress.net. If you fancy having a go at doing a radio show, we can arrange it at some time in the not too distant future. And as I say before, if you like what you see here, if you've enjoyed the show tonight, and you want to support us, one way you can do it and get a bit of extra content as well is by going to Patreon, patreon.com/AndyShed. Just $1 a month, that's all it costs. And as if that, oh no, what's happened there? Don't know quite what's happened there, it's all got a bit funny. Hang on, hey, come on, stop messing about. That's it, I'm back. It all went a bit weird then. But yeah, so thanks to everybody for taking part tonight as usual. I'll just have one more quick scan of the chat before I go. I've got to look down here for it today because I've moved it, it's in a different place to normal. Christian says, the reason the orange jacket stays so clean is because they wet the coal. Ah! What about the soot though? What about the soot coming out of the air? Or do they not emit soot? Is there something to stop them emitting soot and sparks and all those general things that go in your eye every time you get near a steam engine? But, yeah. Excellent! So wet coal is the way to do it. Does it not? Does it burn if it's wet? Or do they not wet it that much? Maybe they don't wet it that much. Right. I think that is about it. That's probably about as far as we go for today. As you can see, this thing is chugging through its songs at the minute. Thanks to everybody for taking part. As I say, thanks to Dominic as well for coming out and doing the Escape the Shed episode recording last week. If anybody else has got any ideas where we can go to film and Escape the Shed, get in touch, let us know, and we'll go out and film some more. I have already been asked about Christmas, because you may remember last Christmas we attempted being the right word for this, to do 2 special live Escape the Sheds over Christmas. First one was a bit dodgy, second one was a bit more successful. Got new technology this year that hopefully will aid us to do it. So there will be some live Escape the Sheds again over the Christmas period. We're looking at doing some things live over Christmas now. So there's something to look forward to for Christmas for you. But from me for now, have a fantastic week ahead. We'll see you here same time, same place next week. And also remember, if you can't wait until next week, on Thursday evening it's the virtual Repair Cafe Live that we do in conjunction with the people over at Repair Sheffield. Starts around about 7 PM until about 9 on Thursday evening. To watch the stream, there's no chat on that stream. To watch the stream, go to sheffieldrepaircafe.callpress.net, and you will also find a link on there where you can click the link and join in and be seen and heard. And we're also going to try that on this show as well in a few weeks' time, where you're actually going to be able to join in on one as we approach Christmas. So cool, could be quite good that. Right, that is about it for now. Christopher says yes, damp coal does burn. So apparently you can wet your coal and you can still burn it on a steam engine. That's what we've learned today. Right, it's time for me to go and have my weekly pizza. And we'll see you all next week. Have a fantastic week ahead, and remember, get in touch with us. If there's anything that you want to see on the show in the future, get in touch. andyshed.coldpress.net. But from me, for now, thanks to all the patrons whose names will be coming up in just a moment, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.